Do you ever get headaches? What about brain fog? Muscle cramps, fatigue, general sense of just not feeling well? A lot of these symptoms usually have the same root cause. Today we're going to break down what that is and we're going to talk about how to fix it. It's all going to be about electrolyte management. A lot of us get dehydrated throughout the day without even realizing it. You don't really know you're dehydrated until the symptoms have already taken effect. And because there can be so many wide varieties of things that you experience, a lot of the times you don't actually attribute it to being dehydrated. People think in order to be hydrated, all you have to do is drink water. It's actually not true. Drinking water on its own can actually make you more dehydrated. Allow me to explain. Water is nothing more than a delivery mechanism for the body. Imagine a freight train. If you got a freight train with no cargo, it's gonna arrive at the station, the workers are gonna check the containers, nothing's in here, gonna get moved out just like you do when you urine. This is a big problem for us because if you drink tap water or water that has nothing in it, it actually can dehydrate you. Now, a lot of the times people drink water with food. When you have the food mixed with water, this isn't such a big deal. But if you're going long periods of time between meals and all you're drinking is tap water, a great chance that you're gonna actually end up dehydrated. Or if you don't drink any water at all, that's going to dehydrate you as well. You see, hydration at its core is really about having water delivering nutrients and minerals to the body. So you need water as that delivery mechanism, but you also need the vitamins and the minerals, especially the minerals for electrolyte balance, to get things moving and get things where they need to be. Electrolytes specifically are responsible for the activation of every cell in your entire body. Think about a light switch. When you turn on a light switch, bam, power goes on. That's how electrolytes work with us. So whether you're trying to contract the muscle, use some of that thinking power, or even get the heart and lungs pumping, all of these things require an electrolyte in order to function. What do we do to make electrolytes? Well, there's a few key minerals involved in creating electrolytes. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can make homemade electrolytes. By the way, you guys, this is going to save you possibly hundreds of dollars per year. If you're somebody that's using a lot of these electrolyte salts that you can find on Amazon, I won't name any of the brands by name, but a lot of them are usually $1, maybe even $2 per packet. I'm going to help save you potentially hundreds of dollars because we're going to make all of this stuff at home using raw ingredients that you can find on Amazon on the cheap. But before I get into that, let's just break down the formulas. The proper measurements for electrolytes is going to be as follows. We're going to be basing all of our measurements off of 1 liter of water. Of course, if you're going with 2 liters or if you're going with half a liter, you gotta use a little bit of simple multiplication or division to make all of this work. But we're going to do 1 liter. The most important ingredient for electrolytes, it's going to be sodium chloride, also known as table salt. The nice thing about salt, 1 gram of salt perfectly measures out to 1/4 of a teaspoon. If you got one of these in your cupboard, it's going to be so easy to make these at home. So if you don't have one, make sure you get one. The second most important ingredient is going to be potassium chloride. With potassium, you always want to have half the amount of salt. So a good way of thinking about this is for every 2 grams of salt, you got to have 1 gram of potassium. And in terms of our measurements, for every gram of salt going in a liter of water, you're gonna have 500 milligrams of potassium. Depending on your activity level, or even depending on the seasons, if you're sweating more or sweating less, feel free to increase the salt. And anytime you do increase the salt, increase the potassium. But this is a great starting ratio. It's gonna be a general all-purpose formula for most people. The third ingredient is gonna be magnesium malate. Now the funny thing about magnesium, the body doesn't absorb it well. So anytime you want to have magnesium, it's got to be paired up with a compound, preferably water soluble, that can sit in your gut and get processed. Otherwise, the magnesium is going to go through your body like a rock and it's going to leave like a rock. There's a ton of different magnesiums out there. I recommend you avoid the magnesium oxide and maybe the magnesium citrate. These cheaper ones, they just don't work that well. I hate to put it this way, but generally, the more expensive it is, the more reliable it is. Magnesium malate, magnesium glycinate, these are going to be a little bit more pricey, but those are going to be the magnesiums that work. The reason I like magnesium malate in particular, You can get it in powdered form. It mixes real nice in the water. This is the formula. So you want to have 1 liter of water, a gram of salt, 500 milligrams of potassium, 300 milligrams of magnesium. Now the nice thing about magnesium is that you don't actually sweat it out. So as long as you're getting about 500 to 600 milligrams of magnesium a day, you can cap out, which means if you are in a situation, maybe you live in a very hot climate, like you're in Arizona or Texas, if you're sweating a lot more, if you're drinking a lot more fluids, you'd only need to make the electrolyte drinks with the magnesium once or twice a day. But other than that, you always want to be adding that salt and that potassium. Salt on its own is safe and a very high upper limit. The worst thing that can happen if you take in too much salt is you end up using the bathroom and you got yourself a mudslide problem. It's your body's way of letting you know you've had too much salt. Aside from that, it's very safe and a high upper limit. Potassium, on the other hand, we don't want to go over about 4 grams of potassium per day. I don't want to scare anyone. You're not going to overdose on potassium by accident, but it does have the power to actually stop your heart. Now again, not trying to freak you guys out here. Just say under 4 grams a day for potassium and you'll be totally fine. The ranges of potassium where you would start having a problem is way out there, but I do feel like it needs to be said. This right here fixes a ton of different problems that you're going to have: headaches, muscle cramps, fatigue, brain fog. All of these things are downstream effects of you being dehydrated. The cells in your membranes, they're just simply not firing off like they normally would if they're in tip-top shape with really good hydration. In fact, if you're very well hydrated, everything in your body, it just feels like it's working. You'll know if you're hydrated because you're just gonna, in general, feel really good. So I'm gonna demonstrate what it looks like to make one of these. I make these every day. First thing in the morning, I actually try to drink as much of this as I can. It kickstarts all the processes in the body. It sets the day up for success. If you have the salt water first thing in the morning, you're gonna find everything else downstream is working a lot better, even later on into the day. Of course, you'll need to keep drinking the water, but the morning is the best time. It gets you off to a good start. First things first, I've got mineral water. I go with mineral water for the same reason I mentioned at the beginning of this video. If you have tap water, there's nothing in the tap water. It hits the kidneys just like a freight train with no cargo. The workers say, there's nothing here, let's get rid of it. Same thing happens when tap water hits your kidneys. You're gonna start urinating a lot, and the last thing you want to do is be peeing out the electrolytes you already have. Mineral water helps prevent that because it already has minerals in here. Even just a little bit, it hits the kidneys and says, oh, we got stuff in here, we gotta process it out. You can get more done with less water when you drink mineral water. Fiji is my go-to, mostly because Costco sells it. My favorite is actually Evian. We don't, for some reason, get a lot of Evian here in Michigan, but if you do find that, it's the best. Otherwise, any spring water that you get from mountain runoff is going to be really good. So I got my handy 1/4 teaspoon. We're going to use this on all 3 ingredients. Oh, and you're also going to want a container to put this water in. Starting things off, keeping it simple, I've just got table salt from Costco. Now everybody's got their favorite salts. Some people are into Himalayan salt, some people are into Celtic salt, sea salt. In my opinion, salt is salt. I'm not really concerned what salt you use as long as you're using something. This is nice and cheap. You can get it at any grocery store, not a big deal. The potassium chloride, on the other hand, harder to find in grocery stores. I really recommend you get the bulk supplements brand. You can save an insane amount of money on this, trust me. This one bag right here is less than $30 and you're gonna get so many servings out of this. It would take you over a year making this every day to get through one bag. Now just compare that to some of the leading brand names selling electrolyte salts. For $30, you might only get 24 servings. Make this at home. It could save you hundreds of dollars a year. I don't use the full 1/4 teaspoon on the potassium. The leading reason for that is a full 1/4 teaspoon is actually 700 milligrams. It says right there on the board we want 500. So I just make sure to leave a little bit of room in the little measuring spoon. Dap it in like so. Make sure you don't spill all over your table like me. And then our last ingredient, the magnesium malate. This is even less than the potassium, so I just go for about a half of this. Now, if you do have an 1/8 teaspoon in your house, by all means use that. But I have a hard time finding those. I personally don't have one, so I'm going with 1/2 of a 1/4 of a teaspoon. Once I've accomplished that, then we're gonna stone cold these Fiji waters in a Malate water bottle. Now this right here, this is it. If you can get in the habit of making these a few times a day, you'll never have another headache. You're gonna sleep like a baby because you're gonna have all that magnesium. You're not gonna have brain fog. It's gonna be a lot easier to look people in the eyes, have good conversations. All of these things get a lot better when your body is properly hydrated. Also great for muscle cramps. If you ever have seizing pain in the hamstrings or in the lower legs, Charlie horse in the calves, all of that goes away from having good potassium levels. So we can accomplish all of this through the electrolyte drink that you see right there on the whiteboard. I have anywhere between 2 and 4 of these per day depending on my activity level. When I'm out running, I add a little bit of sugar to this. The sugar is extra, it's really just for exercise. But the sugar itself acts as like a speed mechanism to shoot this straight into your veins. The reason for that is a little bit of sugar spikes just enough insulin to get things moving, and insulin's primary hormonal function is to actually shuttle nutrients to the body. So that is why a little bit of sugar goes a long way. It's why leading sports drinks all use sugar, whether it's Powerade, Gatorade, you name it. That's the purpose, to immediately shuttle those to the muscles. That's only important if you're doing exercise. If you're living a sedentary life or if you got an office job, just drink the salt water and you'll be good. Now personally, I don't mind where you get your materials from, but as an Amazon affiliate, I do have 1% commission for every one of these bags you guys buy. So you can either get these through the links in my description below. If you want to get them at the grocery store, I'd never know the difference. And with that, guys, that's how to make electrolytes at home. Save yourself hundreds of dollars a year. Also save yourselves a headache, no pun intended. It really does work for that. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go ahead, like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Let me know if you guys found this helpful. If you got some of those symptoms, feel free to ask me questions. I always come back to the comments and I'll answer anything that you guys got. Additionally, as a weight loss coach, I do private coaching. If that's something that interests you, you can either get a hold of me through my Linktree link below, or you can get a hold of me on Discord. I also have a Discord support group. Both links will be in the description of this video. I've got new original content coming out every Monday, and I do a 1-hour live stream every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. where I go over a wide variety of topics that help you either lose weight or get in better shape, or possibly even sometimes talk about other personal development topics. Additionally, what you're seeing right now is a shorter video I upload through the midweek. Let me know if you like this type of content and I'll keep doing it. In the meantime, I've been Andrew Fillion. Catch you in the next one. Peace.